to another video. So today I am going to be doing another review, and I'm actually going to be reviewing 3 books in this video, and this is a non-spoiler review, so you guys can stick around and check it out. So the first 2 books that I'm going to be talking about are The Heir and the Crown by Kiera Cass, and these are marketed as the 4th and 5th book in the selection series. However, I do not consider them to be a part of the selection series, as I see these as a spin-off of the selection, as they don't follow America and Maxon. It follows their daughter as the main character, Edelyn, and so I see these as a spin-off, kind of how Bloodlines is a spin-off of Vampire Academy. So I think these are a spin-off of the Selection trilogy. I feel like you can read the first 3 books and then just be done with those 3. If you don't want to continue, you don't have to. I would consider this more, I would call it the Heir Duology, since the first book is The Heir, so I would consider it a duology, the Heir Duology. And part of the reason why I actually read these in February, I was thinking about reading them anyway in February, but then I really picked them up because in my TBR jar, my February pick, the challenge I picked out of my jar, was to read a duology, and like I said, I am gonna consider this a duology because I see it as a spin-off, not a continuation of Selection. So I think it's a duology and it fits, so that's what I'm gonna go with. So with this series, the main character, Edelyn, who is the daughter of America and Maxon, she is the firstborn. She is a twin, but she was the firstborn, so she is the next ruler in line to be the next ruler of Aaliyah. And so basically in this series, we have another selection, but instead of having a prince trying to find his princess among 35 girls, we've got a princess trying to find her prince among 35 guys. Only catch to this is the princess doesn't want a prince. So I actually thought that was pretty cool. So let me start off and say, Edelyn's character, a lot of people don't like her character, and I can understand why, because at times she was really annoying and I didn't like her at all. I had mixed feelings about Edelyn's character, because there are parts of her, there are traits that I like, and then there are parts that just annoyed me so much, and I really didn't like her. So the parts that I did like is, I like how fierce and sassy she is, and how independent she is. And so she really does not want a selection. She was kind of talked into having one, but she doesn't want a selection. She doesn't want to be married anytime soon. And so she, in the beginning, she's just kind of like scheming and plotting and like, how can I get rid of these guys? Like, how can I make them miserable enough that they go run into the hills and want absolutely nothing to do with me? So I thought that was kind of funny, and I liked that part of her. I liked that sassy, fierceness, independent nature that she has. But then she also has this really stuck up, snobby side of her. especially in the way that she views and treats Kyle in the beginning, really. And so she has that, like, I'm better than you, like, stuck up quality, which is weird because I'm like, America is such a sweetheart, and this is America's daughter. How the heck? And it's not like Maxon is some stuck up snob, so it's like, how the heck did she get that quality? But anyway, so that's part of why I didn't like her. Like I said, I have mixed feelings about her character. The other thing about Edelyn's character is it was interesting that she views love as a weakness. So love and vulnerability are seen to her as a weakness and something that needs to be avoided at all costs. And that was just really interesting to see, because it's like, again, how are you America and Maxon's daughter? Like, were you switched at birth or something? Because America and Maxon are like almost the epitome of a fairy tale relationship or fairy tale marriage. And it's just like, how in the world, with the parents that you have growing up the way you did, she grew up in a loving household. How in the world do you see love as a weakness? I could understand if she grew up with, like, around Maxon's dad, the way Maxon's dad was in the selection series. He was horrible. And so I could understand if, like, she grew up around him and spent a bunch of time, like a lot of time with them, how she could grow up thinking that and having those ideals. But she didn't grow up around his dad. She had Maxon in America for parents who are always lovey-dovey with each other. So it just was weird to me that she equated love with weakness. And I was just like, and the way that she acts about love, the way that she acts when she talks about love to her brother, it makes it sound like, she's been hurt before or she's been rejected before, and that's why she has a lot of walls up, because she does have a lot of walls up. And it makes it sound like, she's been hurt and she's been rejected, and so that's why she has to have her defenses up and her walls up, and that's why love to her is a weakness. But it doesn't sound like she's ever had any experience with hurt or being rejected. I mean, maybe she has, and it just isn't talked about in the book. But from what goes on in the book, it doesn't sound like she's ever had a serious relationship or ever been in a position where she's been hurt or rejected. So again, that's why I'm like, why does she have this view of love? Why are all her walls up? Like I said, especially considering who her parents are. So that was just kind of interesting and a little weird to me, but it was interesting. Another thing with this series, I felt like it had such potential to do things differently from most other books and to send more of a different message, and it didn't. It ended up being the same as most other books, and I feel like it had the potential to send this message of you don't have to be married to be happy, and you don't have to be in a relationship to be happy. You can be happy on your own being single and enjoying your life with your family and your friends. And marriage and relationships does not equal happiness. And I felt like that was a potential message that the series could have sent, especially the way that Edelyn was so against having this election and so against getting married. She's like, she didn't want to be married at all. And in fact, at one point in the book, her twin brother, who is in a serious relationship and is in love, and he makes a comment to her and says something about, I wish that you could experience what I have and know what happiness really is. And she says something like, I am happy. I know what happiness is. I'm happy with my life. And he's like, no, you really don't know what happiness is until, you've met that person. And it really, like I said, it had the potential to go on such a different route and show that, happiness, relationship, dating, being married does not necessarily equate to happiness. Especially, like I said, with that scene with her brother, he's just like, once you're in a relationship, it's different, and then you really know what happiness is. And she's like convinced that like she is happy, just having things how they are. She's happy with the way things are now. And then of course you get to the second book, The Crown, and this isn't a spoiler because obviously series is predictable. I wish it went another way, but we know obviously she's going to fall for one of the guys. And basically in the second book, again, I'm forgetting exactly what they say, so I'm paraphrasing. But she says something along the lines of, my brother was right. I didn't know real happiness until I met so and so. And it's just like, really? Like, seriously? You didn't know what happiness was until you met him. Like I said, I wanted this to be different. I wanted it had the potential of sending a completely different message, but it just followed the same old script for every book. It's like, nope, you're not happy unless you're in a relationship, which I feel like is most YA books, because let's face it, most of them, all the main characters have to be in a relationship, otherwise what's the point, right? I will say the series is a pretty quick read. Like, the books are really not that long at all, as you can see. So you pretty much fly through them. And this one is from the library, as you guys can see. So, which is why it's hardback. And this one's paperback, because you guys know I will never buy mixed paperback and hardbacks of the same series. Anyway, unless I do it by accident, because I have done that by accident. It's not like the selection. I do prefer the selection more. I liked America and Maxon's story. Edelman's story, I just had too many issues with it. And it's not just that, they could have sent a different message but didn't. It's also some of the things that happens in the series as well. I will say these two books, they really did not need to make them two books. It didn't need to be a duology. They could have just made this into one book, but nope, of course they're gonna stretch it out as much as they can. At least it's not a trilogy. That would really be a waste of a book. But there is no point in these two books. Could have just made it one book. I had a couple other issues with this series. One of them being the way that she ends up with the guy that she ends up with. Because I felt like, so for the most part, it's the story, the heir starts off kind of predictable. And, there's one guy that ends up being part of the selection that you kind of think, okay, he's definitely going to be the one who wins in the end. And I felt like, just to make it unpredictable, they throw in this other guy more towards the later half of The Crown. He's been there from the beginning, but we don't really see much of him until more into The Crown. And I feel like they kind of just tossed him in there more in here just to be like, ha ha ha, it's not what you're thinking. It's not that predictable. Like, yeah, it's pretty obvious that she would have probably picked this other guy, but just so we can keep you on your toes and show that we're not being predictable, we're gonna throw in this guy and she's actually gonna go with him. It's like, really? I'm trying not to get too much into spoiler territory because I want this to be non-spoiler, so I don't want to get into too much spoiler territory. But it's like the guy she's with, it almost feels insta-lovey. Not almost, it is insta-love. Because really, you only see them together maybe a couple times, and all of a sudden it's like, I love you. Really? Seriously? I almost felt like how it was with Aspen and Lucy in the selection series, where Aspen ends up with Lucy, and you're kind of like, where did that come from? That's kind of out of left field. He was just obsessing over America like 2 minutes ago, and now he's in love with Lucy? That's really left field. And that's pretty much how this felt like. It was like, okay, you're throwing in this guy now, and now you're all of a sudden in love with him? That's really left field. So that's how I felt with that relationship in this series. It just felt insta-lovey, and I didn't like it. At least with America and Maxon in the selection series, at least with them, you got to see the relationship build over time, and you got to see them slowly fall for each other. Well, you got to see America slowly fall for him. Maxon was always kind of pursuing her, but America wasn't really interested until later on. So, but anyway, at least with them, you got to see the relationship build and grow, and you saw them fall in love. And with Edelman and the guy she's with in the end, It's like, we saw you guys together maybe 3 times, maybe. And now, all of a sudden, you're madly in love. Okay, because that's how this world works. So, yeah. Anyway, I wasn't really impressed with this duology. Like I said, I preferred the selection. So I wasn't really impressed with this duology. Overall, I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And that's actually being kind of generous. So yeah, I gave them I think 3 out of 5 stars. That's probably more so because they're quick reads, and we do get to see America and Maxon in the series as well. Though, of course, not as much as I would like to, because the story is not about them anymore, it's about their daughter. Although I would much prefer to see a story with them in their adult age and how things are with them, because I really liked America and Maxon, and so I wanted to see them and hear more than I wanted to know more about them than about their daughters. So I told you guys I would be reviewing 3 books in this review video. So the 3rd book I'm actually going to be reviewing is Happily Ever After by Kiera Cass, and this is a companion to the selection series. It's got a bunch of short stories that it's got like the guard, the queen, which is about Amberly, Maxon's mom, and then the prince obviously is from Maxon's point of view. Then there's the guard, the favorite, which is Marley from the selection, and then scenes from Celeste, and then the maid, which is about Lucy from the selection series, and then After the One, and Where Are They Now? So it's a bunch of short stories from the selection world. And this one, what I liked about this book is it had some really nice illustrations in them. So I thought those were pretty cool. So it has these really cute illustrations, and I really like. So yeah, I like the illustrations that were in this book. So I will say I really liked seeing Amberly's story, which is Maxon's mom, and it goes through and gives sort of her point of view. It shows a little bit of how when she was in the selection, how she caught what's his name? I forget his name now, but Maxon's dad, how she caught his attention and became the next queen of Aaliyah. So I really liked seeing Amberly's story. It was really interesting and really cool. I also liked the prince, which is Maxon's. It shows from Maxon's point of view of what it was like for him when he met America and he was going through the selection process and what that was like for him. I think the prince, which is Maxon's story, I think that one is my favorite one in this book. That one's my favorite one, and then I would say Amberly's story is my second favorite. And so with Maxon's story though, I really wanted more, like the spot where it ended in his story. I was just like, no, I want more from his point of view. I really liked reading from his point of view. And I was just like, no, don't end it yet. I need more from him. But sadly, that was all we got. Another story was The Guard, which is from Aspen's point of view and what it was like for him being at the palace while the selection was going on and America being a part of it, and he's a guard at the palace. And so we get to see his point of view. The only thing I was thinking with his story is I was hoping to get a glimpse of how he actually fell in love with Lucy. Because from the selection series, like I said earlier, it was kind of like totally out of left field. Like he was obsessing about America 2 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden he's in love with Lucy. And I felt like it was totally out of left field. And I was like, where in the world did this come from? I mean, there were like there were little hints and clues that um, they were building a relationship or they were, kind of attracted to each other. But it's a huge jump to go from, I'm attracted to you, I like you, and now it's like, okay, I love you, and we're getting married. That's a huge jump. And so I felt like it was kind of left field. And so when we get his story in Happily Ever After, we get his point of view. And I was hoping to see more of how his relationship with Lucy got built and see them fall in love and, how that happened. And maybe get a better understanding so it doesn't feel like insta love like that came out of nowhere. But that's not what we got. And I was surprised because in his story, it was a lot of the same, I'm in love with America. He's obsessed with America. He doesn't want to let it go. He's jealous of Maxon. And I was an idiot for letting her go. I want her back. And this and that. And it was a lot of that for most of his story. And then, like, towards the way end, there started to be a little bit of, oh, I actually like Lucy. I have some feelings for Lucy. And this might be, something real. And it's like, really? You were just obsessing about America and how much of an idiot you were for letting her go and how much you want her back. And now you're like, oh, I think I like Lucy. I think Lucy could be it for me. So, again, it still felt, and Still Love You, it still felt way out of left field. I was hoping to get more of their relationship, and we really didn't. The rest of the stories in here were okay. They weren't great. I really didn't care that much about them. Except for Marley. I did like Marley's story and how she ended up with that one guard, the one that they got whipped for each other for being together. So I did like seeing Marley's story as well. But everyone else, I'm kind of like, I really didn't care about their story. I didn't care about Celeste, because I really didn't even like Celeste. So until the end of the series, and then she became somewhat decent, but I really didn't care about Celeste or her story. The Where Are They Now? That one follows, the elite girls from the selection and what they're doing now that they're back home and they haven't won the selection. I really didn't care about that. I didn't care about the other elite girls and what they're doing now. We do get a really cute short scene called After the One, which basically shows America and Maxon after they've been married for a while, and I think it's on like Maxon's birthday. They show a scene from there. But yeah, like I said, the other stories didn't really care for much in here. My favorite was Maxon and then Amberly. I really wish I could have seen more from their points of views and gotten to see more of their story. I want to say I also gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. This one's another one that's a quick read. It's really not that long at all. And plus with the illustrations, like I said, with the illustrations in between, you really fly through it. It doesn't take long to get through at all. But yeah, I think I gave this 3 out of 5 stars, I believe. That's pretty much it, you guys. That's it for my review of the Heir Duology. That's what I'm calling it. Because, like I said, I think it's a spin-off series, and I consider it a duology. So, that's my review of the Heir Duology, and also the companion book, Happily Ever After. If you have read the Selection series, and if you've read The Heir and the Crown, leave me a comment down below what your thoughts are of it, and if you agree or disagree with anything is said in the review, and also what are your thoughts on the message it kind of sends out and the potential message it could have sent. So yeah, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought about that if you've read the series. And I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye.